Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenging Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're talking about Neptune's retrograde in Pisces. And if you like this video and you want to see more great content like it, be sure to like, hype, and subscribe. It really helps out me and the channel. To be notified whenever I release a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. And if you'd like to donate to help support the channel, links to those will be in the description box as well. Okay, so we're talking about Neptune's retrograde in Pisces. Zach, this is Vedic Sidereal Astrology. I know, you cannot ignore the outer planets. Even ancient Vedic sages took note that the outer planets existed. They just could not see them with the naked eye, which is the only reason we don't use them in the dasha system. The reason they don't rule houses. That is the only reason. So they have an influence on us, but that influence is not as direct. So we're going to be talking about Neptune's retrograde. This is going to be taking place from July 7th to December 12th of this year. Okay, so first off, when we look at this, you look from the ascendant, from the moon, and from the sun. Ascendant is your overall path in life. It's your body. Moon, it's your mind and emotions. It's how you think and feel about your reality. And the sun. Sun is your soul and your body also. So it's what your soul's experiencing in this life. Now, you can even go a step further and use the Navamsa Ascendant. And then combining all four is how you see what's really going to happen during that transit. Which I know might be too much for some of you, but at least now you have the full info. Now, with this, let's talk about Neptune a little bit. So Neptune is going to bring the energy of Pisces wherever it transits. Pisces is where you feel lost. Pisces is magical, otherworldly. But Pisces is two fish going around in circles over and over. You will be confused. You may deal with some addiction tied to that house wherever you see Neptune transiting during that time. If it's in the 10th house, you might be addicted to your career during that transit. The people you deal with tied to that house will be confusing. You'll have trouble understanding them. Or they'll be the ones that are confused. Those are things that you'll see taking place with this. Neptune is going to bring that energy of Pisces. That is the biggest thing you'll see. That's why in Western tropical astrology, they see Neptune as the ruler of Pisces. It's not the ruler, it's just bringing that energy into the house, wherever it transits. So, with a retrograde though, retrogrades behave like they are in the house they're sitting in and the previous house. And you're going to read the aspect from the previous house, not from both houses. Okay, so we're going to look at this for each zodiac sign. And we're going to start with Aries, like always. All right, Aries. So for you, Neptune is transiting in your 12th house in Pisces. But it is retrograde, so it's behaving like it's both in the 12th house and in the 11th house. So, 12th house. 12th house is bed pleasure, sex and sleep. It's spirituality. It's addictions, fantasy, outer space, other worlds. Spirituality, I forgot to mention that. It's losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's foreign people, foreign places, multinational companies. So, Let's talk about the 11th house now, where this energy is being brought. 11th house is your elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your friends, large organizations, large gatherings, network circles. It's stock market and gains. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. It's also 6th from the 6th. It's your greatest enemy. It's your greatest debt. It's the enemy of your enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, it's also 12th from the 12th. It's the greatest loss you will endure. And it's also the height of spirituality. Height of spirituality isn't fucking off to some monastery somewhere. It's serving society, serving people at large and animals. Aquarius represents all these things. So, now we gotta talk about Neptune's effect in both of these houses. In Pisces, and its effect in Aquarius. The 12th and 11th houses. So, with Neptune, first off, definitely addiction issues can take place for Aries people during this time. Neptune is in the house of addictions. First off, in the 12th house, in the sign of addictions, Pisces. And now it's retrograde, acting like it's conjunct Rahu. So think about that. Rahu is a smoke cloud. Rahu's confusion. So now you are doubly confused, tied to the house where Rahu is. Because now Neptune's acting like it's there too. And Rahu's transiting in Satyabisha, nakshatra of drinking alcohol. So you'll see, especially when you go out with friends, you need to be careful. You can drink way too much. And you need to be careful, protect your drinks and all that while you're out and about. Going to bars, going to parties, whatever you're doing. You need to be very careful when it comes to investing. Because Neptune's in the house of investments, retrograding into the house of the stock market. If you are investing, be very careful during this time. I would at least wait until Rahu is out of Aquarius. But Rahu's your desire, your soul's desire. You're going to desire to do that with Rahu in the house of the stock market. If you're in the position to do so. So, you need to be very careful there. Also, this is a good time if you are involved in like spiritual organizations or large gatherings, type of spirituality. It's very good for that. You need to be careful with your friend group. You can have friends that really confuse you during this time. Like that, either they are very confused or you are very confused when it comes to dealing with them. You could definitely have friends with addiction issues. Like I said, alcoholism in particular during this time. Or they could struggle with that during this time. But Neptune can also bring very magical events. Now, that's not to say everything's going to go perfect in your way. No. But Neptune can bring like magical otherworldly events. Like a person with this transit going on, could actually meet an alien. Rahu's in the nakshatra of aliens. Neptune's in the house of aliens. And now they're meeting with that retrograde effect. So, that's one thing that we see. Now let's talk about the aspect. Neptune's going to have a 7th aspect onto the 5th house. So if you have children, you are going to be completely confused when it comes to dealing with your children. You're not going to be able to relate to them during this time. You're going to absolutely struggle with them. When it comes to education, unless it is spiritual education, you're going to struggle. When it comes to politics are going to confuse you during this time too. When it comes to romance is going to feel magical, but yes, that confusion is going to be there. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to feel that way. You're going to feel lost. Neptune's like you're in the middle of that ocean of Pisces. So you're going to feel that effect tied to the fifth house. Okay. But that's what I have for you, Aries. Moving on to Taurus. Taurus, for you, Neptune is retrograde in the 11th house. And it's going to be retrograding into the 10th house. So let's talk about the 12th house. Sorry, 12th house. Let's talk about the sign of Pisces in your 11th house first. So 11th house is your elder siblings. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your friends, large organizations, large gatherings, parties. It's stock market and gains. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. But it's also 6th from the 6th. It's the greatest health issue you will deal with. It's the greatest debt you will incur. It's your greatest enemy. But it's also the enemy of your enemy, who is your friend. It's also 12th from the 12th. It's the greatest loss you will have to endure. And it's also the height of spirituality. Spirituality isn't about fucking off to some monastery somewhere. It's about serving society at large. That is the height of spirituality. Serving people and animals. Bettering this world around you. So, that's the 11th house. Now, 10th house. 10th house is your career, your status, your fame, your reputation. It's your workplace, your managers and bosses. It's government. It's the highest house of karma. It's your karmic actions that the world sees. Notice this. So even if you're out of work or retired, 10th house still matters. So now with this, you are going to be very confused tied to both of these houses. That is the first thing you're going to notice. Your friends are going to confuse the hell out of you during this time. Your coworkers, your managers, you are not going to be able to understand them. Your elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles. You're going to have trouble relating to these people. It's going to be like, what are you talking about? Also, these people can deal with addiction issues. Not you yourself, but your paternal aunts and uncles, your elder siblings, your friends, your coworkers, your managers, people in the workplace could deal with addiction issues during this time, especially alcoholism. Because Rahu is in Satyvisha, which is a nakshatra tied to alcoholism. And Neptune is addictions. It'll bring the energy of Pisces wherever it goes. So now Neptune and Rahu are acting like they're conjunct here. And Rahu is like a fog cloud. Rahu's going to confuse you. So now you are doubly confused, especially in your career. This is going to be very hard for you. When it comes to your workplace, like your managers are going to be, they are going to make no sense to you during this time. You're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? And yeah, definitely you can have a manager or, coworkers that deal with alcoholism, which I believe I already mentioned. But there is definitely this confusing element. But another thing that Neptune does is it can bring very magical events. So you can experience something very magical in your career during this time, actually. You can have like wishes and desires that you have magically fulfilled during this time, especially tied to your career, because Neptune is retrograding. from the house of desire into the house of career, status, fame. And especially if you do any career tied to Sattvisha, which is filming, alcohol, astrology, anything tied to like spying, surveillance, new age technology. There can be very magical things that take place with this retrograde. Now you have to be careful during this time though. Your fame can turn to infamy with this retrograde as well. You can gain the wrong kind of notoriety. They need to be very careful here that you don't damage your reputation with this retrograde here. Now, the aspect is going to be from the 10th house to the 4th house. So 4th house is other figures. It's home, land, real estate, vehicles. It's your comfort and happiness. You're going to be very confused when it comes to dealing with your mother. You are going to have so much trouble relating to her during this time. You're going to have confusing events tied to the home or very magical events within the home. Especially with Venus and Ketu sitting there during this particular part of the retrograde, there can be something very spiritual that takes place within the home. But it's just for a small window while Venus is there with Ketu. Because Venus is very gifted in spirituality and the occult. And it's with Ketu, the Graha or planet of the occult. All right. But that's what I have for you, Taurus. Moving on to Gemini. All right, Gemini. So for you, Neptune is transiting your 10th house, retrograde. And it's going to be moving back into your 9th house. So let's talk about the 10th house first. 10th house is your career, your status, your fame, your reputation. It's your workplace, your managers and your bosses. It's your highest house of karma. It's your karmic actions that the world notices. So even if you're out of work or retired, 10th house still matters. And 10th house is also government. But Neptune is retrograde, so it's going to impact the previous house. So the 9th house. 9th house is your father figures, your mentors, teachers, gurus. It's higher education beyond a bachelor's degree and outside typical schooling. It's long distance travel, pilgrimage, publishing. 9th house is religion, philosophy, the law. It's your ancestral lineage, it's counseling. It's your luck and your fortune. It's also 5th from the 5th, so it's higher form of creativity, arts and sports. Highest form of politics is the 9th house. This is why religion is often a political tool. Now, the other thing that we see with this, let's start talking about Neptune with this. So, Neptune is going to confuse the hell out of you. That is the number one thing you will notice. Neptune brings the sign of Pisces wherever it sits. And yes, it's transiting in Pisces. But it's like two fishes going around in circles. It's like they're in the middle of the ocean. They can't get anywhere. They're lost. So you're going to feel lost wherever this Neptune transits. So in the 10th house, you feel lost in your career. What do I do? Should I change careers? My managers and bosses, I can't understand them, can't relate to them. You're going to feel that way. And with this, definitely you could have a manager or a boss or people in your workplace that deal with addiction issues during this time. Especially alcoholism, because Neptune is retrograde and it's going to be acting like it's conjunct Rahu. Rahu is that obsession, that desire without thinking clearly. Rahu's like a fog cloud too. And Rahu is in Satabisha. Satabisha is a nakshatra tied to alcoholism. So definitely there can be addiction issues, not just that people in your workplace, your managers deal with, but it could also be a father figure, a mentor, teacher that you see experiencing these things. That's one thing that we see. The other thing that we see, though, is Neptune can bring very magical events. Like otherworldly. You just don't expect this kind of thing. So, with this, you can have a magical event take place in your career or learn something very deeply spiritual, even religious, because it is retrograding into the ninth house. Now, ninth house is more religion than spirituality, but Neptune's a very spiritual planet. So you're going to see that there can be this magical event, and this could be something that improves your career. But one thing I will say is you need to be careful. If you let Neptune delude you too much, you could turn this fame into infamy. But this is a great time for learning astrology if that's what you're wanting to do, because Neptune is acting like it's conjunct that Rahu in the ninth house of higher education in the nakshatra of astrology that Rahu's in. And Neptune's going to be acting like it's there too, because Neptune's at 10 degrees. So now it's acting like it's at 10 degrees in Aquarius as well. Okay. Now, outside of astrology and the occult and the spiritual, not even the occult, specifically astrology and the spiritual, that's the kind of education you'll do well with during this time. Anything else, you are going to be confused. I mean, that ninth house, Rahu and Neptune, two planets of confusion together for about 6 months. You're going to struggle in that area of life during this time with relating to your father, relating to your teachers, people in your educational environment. Okay. Now, the seventh aspect is going to be from that ninth house to the third house. So with this, you're going to have trouble relating to your younger siblings during this time. They're going to confuse you. You're not going to be able to relate to them. You're going to struggle with that. But you can also see here, Venus is going to be there with Ketu for a little while. But during that particular window, there can be a lot of spiritual conversation with your younger siblings, or with your cousins or neighbors as well, with people online even. Because Venus is a very spiritual planet, and very gifted in the occult in particular. And with the planet of occult and spirituality, Ketu. So you can definitely see that, that will take place, or can take place. Of course, not everyone who watches me is spiritual. But yeah, definitely the confusion is going to be the biggest thing. Okay. Another important thing. You need to be very careful about the way you communicate during this time. Because not only is Ketu sitting in your third house of communication, but Neptune's aspecting. So you're going to be confused about the things you say. You're already headless about your communication right now. But now you're also even more confused. So be very careful about what you say during this time. It can cause issues. All right. That's what I have for you, though, Gemini. Moving on to Cancer. All right, Cancer. So for you, Neptune is transiting in your ninth house, retrograding into the eighth. So let's talk about that ninth house first. Ninth house is your father figures, your mentors, your teachers, your gurus. It's long distance travel, pilgrimage, publishing. It's higher education beyond a bachelor's degree and outside of typical schooling. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's fifth from the fifth, so it's the higher form of creativity, arts, and sports. Higher form of politics. This is why religion is often used as a political tool. Ninth house is counseling. It's your ancestral lineage, and it's also your luck and your fortune. Now, Neptune's retrograding into that eighth house, though. So let's talk about the eighth house, too. Eighth house is your joint finances and relationships and business. It's other people's money. It's your in-laws. It's research, the occult, sex. It's surgeries, psychological baggage, wills, inheritance, sudden ups and downs, and transformation. And it's anything hidden. So, first thing you're going to see with Neptune is Neptune is going to confuse the hell out of you wherever it transits. You're going to deal with confusion there. For instance, if this is somebody trying to plan their education, what college they want to go to, that kind of thing, they are going to feel completely lost. Because Neptune's going to bring the energy of Pisces wherever it's transiting. And right now, Neptune's in Pisces. You're even more lost. In the ocean, when it comes to that ninth house, you will have so much trouble relating to your father during this time. And your mentors, your teachers, unless they are deeply spiritual. If they're spiritual, you can have an okay relationship with them, but still, that confusion's going to be there. That element will be there. When it comes to education, this is very difficult. Unless your education is tied to the occult, spirituality, and when I say the occult, I specifically mean astrology, though. Because Rahu is in Satyabisha, and Neptune's acting like it's conjunct. And Neptune is at a similar degree where it's going to act like it's in Satyabisha as well. This is the nakshatra of astrology. So, we do see astrological education would be good with this. But we also see, when it comes to a person's philosophy, when it comes to religion, legal matters, yeah, you can be very confused during this time, and it can cause issues. Also, be careful while traveling with this. You could, be very confused when it comes to the plans that you're making. Plans may fall through, may not work out. Also, when it comes to father figures, mentors, even in-laws with this, or, yeah, mainly in-laws, they could deal with some kind of addiction issue, in particular, alcoholism. Satyabisha is tied to alcohol. And Neptune's acting like it's in that Uttar Bhadrapada and Satyabisha. Uttar Bhadrapada is also tied to addiction issues. But with the two, mainly alcoholism. So father figures, mentors, teachers, in-laws could deal with that during this time. Also, since I'm mentioning the in-laws, ninth house is the younger siblings of the spouse as well. So we see that could be something you see here too. Now, especially when it comes to the eighth house, Neptune and Rahu are acting conjunct. Rahu is a fog cloud. Rahu is going to confuse you. Neptune's no better. Neptune is two fish swimming around each other. Lost. Not able to get anywhere. They're both fog clouds wherever they transit. So now you have both of them clouding up the eighth house, which is already a very hidden house. One thing I will say here, you can have very deeply spiritual experiences, though, that are hidden. Other people are not going to learn about these things. especially if anybody here, and this is common for Cancer ascendants, being at least compared to other ascendants or moon signs in particular, is you can be involved with a very hidden spiritual large organization or like large organization tied to the occult. Either way, hidden large organization. But if it's a spiritual or occult organization in this time, that would actually be very good with this. Like here, you can really delve into deeper spiritual meaning, especially through the occult, if you're inclined. But you're watching an astrology video, so I'm assuming you are. Now, the other thing that we see though, your in-laws are going to drive you crazy during this time. You are not going to be able to understand them. Understand them, what they do, what they say. No. No, you're going to struggle there. Now, like I said, for spirituality, for the occult, this can be very good. As a matter of fact, with this, because it's the eighth house of hidden things in the occult, and Rahu and Neptune are both acting like they're in Satyabisha. Satyabisha is a nakshatra of aliens. You are one of those signs, Cancer, where you can actually have an alien experience during this transit. Actually meet an alien. If you don't want to. Sorry. I'm not the one telling them to meet you. Sorry, I just realized. Thought of the movie Independence Day, July 4th right now. So okay. Anyways, now let's talk about the aspects of Neptune. Neptune's going to have a seventh aspect onto the second house. So, on top of not being able to understand your in-laws, you're also going to struggle to understand your family. There's going to be that confusion. You're just not going to be able to relate to them during this time. Except when it comes to spirituality and the occult, especially while Venus and Ketu are conjunct in the sign of Leo, that second house. Because Venus is very spiritual and gifted in the occult. Remember, Venus is the only planet, Graha, with the power to revive the dead. Venus is the one with that gift, not Jupiter, Venus. And it's conjunct Ketu, the planet of spirituality in the occult. So, you'll see, there can be something very spiritual, very magical with the family that takes place. Same thing with the in-laws, but like I said, there'll be more confusion when it comes to the in-laws. But either way, this axis, the second and eighth house, there will be confusion. And I'm going to warn you, when it comes to financial institutions, be very careful who you trust. Second and eighth houses and ninth house are tied to financial institutions and banking. So be very careful with your money during this time, Cancer. All right, that's what I have for you. Moving on to Leo. All right, Leo. So for you, Leo, Neptune is retrograde in the eighth house in Pisces. And it's retrograding into the seventh house in Aquarius with Rahu. So, first let's talk about that eighth house. Eighth house is joint finances and relationships and in business. It's other people's money. It's your in-laws. It's sex. It's the occult. It's research. It's psychological baggage. It's surgeries. It's anything hidden. It's wills, inheritance. It's ups and downs and transformation. Seventh house. Seventh house is relationships, marriage, business partnership. It's the masses, all the people you meet out in the world. It's fourth from the fourth, higher form of your comfort and happiness. It's 10th from the 10th. It's the greatest karma you will deal with. It's why people find marriage so hard. And it's also the greatest height of your career. Greater fame, status, and reputation is the seventh house. And seventh house is directly opposite from the first house, where you were born. So it even represents foreign lands. So now with Neptune retrograde in that eighth house, first off, this is going to bring confusion, first and foremost. Neptune brings the energy of Pisces wherever it transits. Neptune's like a fog cloud. And in that fog cloud, you have two fishes circling, not able to get anywhere. So, especially when it comes to your in-laws, you are going to be completely confused and lost with them. You will not be able to relate to them at all. That will definitely be there. The other thing that you see, you need to be very careful when it comes to joint finances. You can be lost and make the wrong decisions with joint finances. Don't think your spouse is going to be any better during this time. They may even be worse when it comes to that aspect. So be very careful with that. The other thing that we see, though, is when it comes to spirituality, this can be very deeply spiritual. You can have very deeply spiritual experiences during this time. Neptune can bring magical events. So you can experience some magical hidden event with this. It could be tied to the occult. It could be tied to sex even. It could be tied to, research. Something you're digging deep into, really wanting to know. So those kinds of things can be there. But let's talk about Neptune's retrograde towards Rahu. So first off, Neptune can bring addiction issues wherever it transits. So Neptune's affecting both these houses now. And it's going to be with Rahu in Satyabisha. Neptune's going to act like it's in Uttar Bhadrapada, where it is, and it's going to act like it's in Satyabisha because it's at those, similar degrees. Satyabisha is tied to alcoholism. Neptune is tied to addiction, or not Neptune. Neptune also, but Uttar Bhadrapada is tied to addiction issues. So you can definitely see that there can be some kind of addiction issue, in particular alcoholism. Both with your in-laws. In-laws could deal with this, struggle with this, but also your spouse, your business partner, girlfriend, boyfriend could struggle with these things during this time. Now, where this will be better is if they are very spiritual or into the occult or astrology, especially because of Rahu being in Satyabisha. But you are going to be very confused when it comes to relationships, marriage, business. Unless it is like a very spiritual relationship where your partner is very spiritual or into astrology, that can be good, but there's still going to be that confusing element. And one thing I will say, if your dasha is supporting, meaning your planetary or sign-based time period, this could be the time where you get into a very magical and very addicting relationship. So, if you meet someone during this time, keep those things in mind, that you can get a little too obsessed with this person. Like to the point where you might ignore other things in your life. And you'll be very confused dealing with this person. And you see, from the seventh house, Neptune's going to aspect the first house. So, the people that you deal with, that you relate with, when it comes to business, when it comes to relationships, people in general, though, will confuse the hell out of you with this. You're going to feel lost when you deal with other people during this time. Okay. That's what I have for you, though, Leo. Moving on to Virgo. All right, Virgo. So for you, Neptune is transiting retrograde in Pisces, your 7th house. And it's going to retrograde into your 6th house. So let's talk about the 7th house first. 7th house is relationships, marriage, business partner. It's the masses, all the people you meet out in the world. It's 4th from the 4th, higher form of your comfort and happiness. It's 10th from the 10th, higher form of your career, your status, your fame, your reputation. It's also the highest house of karma. This is why some people find marriage so difficult. It's also directly opposite from the 1st house, where you were born. So 7th house also represents foreign lands. Now, let's talk about the 6th house as well, because both are going to be important when we talk about this. 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's your pets. It's your enemies. It's your everyday work, everyday routine. It's health issues and accidents. It's competition, conflict. 6th house is debt. So now let's talk about Neptune in both these houses. So first off, you are going to see confusion. Neptune is like a fog cloud. It'll bring the energy of Pisces wherever it transits. And yes, it's in Pisces. This is doubly so. But Neptune, that energy of Pisces, it's two fish going around in circles. So now you're going to see that confusion sets in, tied to the 7th house, tied to the 6th house. You're going to feel lost in these areas. Like you've just been dropped into the middle of the ocean. Find your way to shore. You're going to struggle. You're not going to be able to. You're going to drown or be eaten by sharks. So with this, yeah, you're going to be lost when it comes to relationships, when it comes to business, when it comes to your business partner. That feeling of being lost is going to be there. We clearly see that. But I will say, if it's a spiritual relationship, this is better. Or a spiritual business, even. It's better in those cases. Possibly even shipping, but that confusing element's still going to be there. So it's probably, like I said, spiritual business is where this can work. Where it can work better. Now, the other thing that we see, there can be addiction issues. Neptune is in Uttarabhadrapada, which is tied to addictions. In the sign of Pisces, the sign of addictions. And it's retrograding, acting like it's conjunct that Rahu in Satyabisha, which is tied to alcoholism. So, one thing that we see, your partner in business or in relationships, your maternal aunts and uncles, your coworkers, can struggle with alcoholism during this time. That could be an issue that they deal with right now. During this, in particular, 6-month retrograde of Neptune. It's going to be intensified during that time, if they weren't already dealing with these things that you notice. That's another thing that we see. Now, Neptune can bring very magical events, though. So with Neptune, you can see if you start a relationship during this time, it could be a very magical relationship. It could feel magical. Not saying you're going to marry a mage or something, but it can feel like a very magical relationship, for sure. It can feel like, how the hell did I end up with this person? Now, the other thing that you're going to see, though, is when it comes to that conjunction with Rahu. Rahu is a fog cloud, too. So now you have two fog clouds. My hair is getting in my face. Okay. Rahu's doing its job. Since Saturnisha, Nakshatra of long hair. All right. So, Neptune and Rahu in the sixth house. There's going to be so much confusion here. You need to be very careful, especially when it comes to taking on debt. You could take on debt that is going to be way too much. It's going to overwhelm you. Be very careful with that. Like, avoid taking on debt during this time if you can. The other thing that we see is when it comes to health issues, there can be a lot of difficulty in having your health issues diagnosed during this time, and you can get very unusual health issues. That can definitely be there. So be careful with that, for sure. Especially when it comes to uh oh, yeah. Especially when it comes to like intestinal things. Like there can definitely be oh, and infections. Infections in particular, actually. Because Rahu is infectious diseases. So you need to be careful. There can be something like that that could take place. So keep that in mind health-wise. And no, I'm not a healthcare expert, as I'm legally required to say. But Ayurveda is the thing, so they can get over it. Now, the other thing that we see here is your enemies. You need to be very careful. Your enemies are going to be very hidden during this time. You're going to have trouble telling who is an enemy and who isn't. Because now there's two fog clouds obscuring the enemy. So now enemy has the fog of war. You don't know where they are. Are they on your left? Are they on your right? Thought this person was my friend. All of a sudden I'm being stabbed in the back. Hopefully not literally. If so, I predicted it, I guess, but that's not what I'm predicting. Okay. Yeah, so keep those things in mind though. Oh, the other important thing. Pets. When it comes to pets, they could also deal with some kind of health issue, some kind of infection or disease. So when it comes to your pets, make sure that they are vaccinated. And anti-vaxxers, come at me in the comments if you want. Okay. We don't obscure. Don't obscure. Talking about Neptune. We don't disregard science on this channel, damn it. All right. I'm done with y'all. Moving on to Libra. All right, Libra. So for you, Neptune is retrograde in your sixth house, retrograding into the fifth house. So let's talk about that sixth house first. Okay, so with this, sixth house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's your pets. It's your enemies. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's health issues, accidents. It's competition, conflict, legal disputes. It's debt, if I forgot to mention that. And now the fifth house. Fifth house is romance, fun and games, education. It's children, students, subordinates. It's speculative gains through stock market, through gambling, through business. It's counseling. It's creativity, arts, and sports. Because third from the third. It's the greatest effort you put forth in life. And it's also politics. So, now, let's talk about Neptune. Neptune is going to bring confusion, first and foremost. You are going to be completely lost during this time. Lost and confused. That'll definitely be there. That is the first thing you're going to notice with Neptune. You're not going to know your ass from your elbow. Neptune is a fog cloud. Neptune is bringing the sign of Pisces, a sign of being lost wherever it goes. It's like two fishes going around in circles in the middle of the ocean, having no idea which way to go. So that's what you're going to experience with Neptune, affecting both these houses. When it comes to your maternal aunts and uncles, when it comes to your coworkers, your pets, when it comes to your children, or in romance, you're going to feel lost. You're not going to be able to understand them, to relate to them. That is going to be an absolute struggle during this time. You need to be very careful here about the debt that you take on, because you are going to feel lost and confused for as long as Neptune transits here. You're not going to be thinking clearly when it comes to these things. Like I said, that fog cloud's there. When it comes to your health issues, be careful. You're not going to be able to see them clearly. Heck, with this, even when you go to doctors, they may not see them clearly. Meaning you could be misdiagnosed, or they may not be able to find out what's really going on with you. Because now Neptune is obscuring that. That fog, that mist is in the way. Another thing you need to worry about, keep in mind, is your enemies can be very hidden during this time. You may not know who's your enemy and who's your friend. Who can you trust? So try not to leave yourself too vulnerable, is what I'd say with that. The other thing I would say, be careful before you take on a pet with this. Because you could want a pet and then get a pet that you are not able to take care of. Because Neptune is going to confuse you. Now, that confusion is also going to apply to the fifth house. So when it comes to romance, education, politics, speculative gains, whether that be stock market or gambling, and you need to be careful here. Neptune is a planet of addictions. You could have like some kind of gambling addiction during this time with Neptune retrograding there. Those things happen. Also, Rahu is in Satyabisha. Neptune's in Uttar Bhadrapada and Satyabisha because of its degrees. It's going to act like it's in both houses, signs, and nakshatras. So, those two nakshatras though, Uttar Bhadrapada and Satyabisha. Uttar Bhadrapada is addictions. Satyabisha is alcoholism. So, you'll see, you can have maternal aunts and uncles, coworkers that could have addiction issues. But in particular, fifth house, if you have older children, they could struggle with alcoholism during this time. So that is something we could see here. And like if you have teenage children, maybe they start dabbling in alcohol earlier than they should. That's another thing that we can see. And like if they're in college, definitely this could affect their education. Although, oh yeah, this is going to be going on for 6 months, so start a fall semester or whatever. Okay. Now, let's see. Oh, yeah. So Neptune can also bring very magical events, though. So you can see some miraculous things happen, like tied to your health. Yeah, you may deal with some health issues that you're not able to wrap your head around, but you can also have a miraculous, magical change in your health as well. Now, Neptune's a very unusual planet. Neptune is, like I said, it brings that mystical, magical quality. So this is going to be like a kind of, healing that you're not going to be able to understand how it even happened. So that can be there as well. Like this is the kind of transit where with it being retrograde in the fifth house, not to give too much false hope here, but there could be something magical where, you weren't able to have children and suddenly you're pregnant or you were able to get your partner pregnant. Now, of course, dashas have to support that and everything, but we do see Neptune can bring those kind of events. And one thing I will say is if you're getting education tied to astrology, because Satyabisha is tied to astrology, Neptune and Rahu are both acting like they're there. For spiritual and especially astrology education, but both, this can be very good. But I will say, in particular, this fifth house, you're going to be doubly confused because Rahu and Neptune are both acting conjunct. Both of them are fog clouds. Both of them are confusion. So especially if you have children, you are going to be lost when it comes to dealing with your children right now. You are not going to be able to understand them. Like I've been saying with some other signs, when it comes to alien experiences, your children are going to feel like the aliens during this time. Like, did I really give birth to you? Are you really my child? I do not understand you anymore. So you can feel that way during this time. Now, the aspect is going to be on that 11th house. So with this, you're going to see, especially while Venus and Ketu are conjunct, that there can be very like spiritual or occult conversation that takes place with the elder siblings, paternal aunts and uncles, friends. If they are interested in those kinds of things, you can see that those kinds of things could take place. Or like if you're involved in like a spiritual or occult organization. Yeah, it's very good for that kind of conversation. Otherwise, you are going to feel completely lost when you deal with your elder siblings, your paternal aunts and uncles, and your friends, or any large organization you're a part of. Because Ketu is headless, and Neptune is confusion. So now you're headless and lost in a fog. Good luck. And like I said, when it comes to stock market, gambling, investing, speculative gains, 11th house is the stock market as well. So be very careful if you're investing during this time. If you're taking that gamble, because you can make very headless decisions. Okay. That's what I have for you though, Libra. Moving on to Scorpio. All right, Scorpio. So for you, Neptune is retrograde in your fifth house, retrograding into the fourth house. So fifth house is romance, fun and games, education. It's children, students, subordinates. Fifth house is creativity, arts, and sports. It's third from the third, highest form of self-effort. It's the most effort you put forth in life. Fifth house is counseling. It's speculative gains through stock market, through gambling, through business. It's politics. Now let's talk about the fourth house because both are going to be important here. Fourth house is mother figures, home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort and your happiness. So, with this, first thing you're going to see is there is going to be confusion. Complete and utter confusion. Because Neptune's a fog cloud. And it brings the energy of Pisces, of feeling lost wherever it transits. And yes, it's in Pisces right now. And Aquarius. Because it's retrograde. But it brings that energy of Pisces, of feeling lost. Because Pisces is two fish swimming in circles in the middle of the ocean, having no idea which way to go. So you're going to see, especially when it comes to your children, if you have children, this is a time where you are not going to be able to relate to them. You're not going to be able to understand them. You're going to feel completely lost with them. If they're older and spiritual, there can be some connection there where you can relate to them a bit. But outside of that, you're going to feel completely lost. When it comes to education, there's going to be a lot of confusion when it comes to education, unless it is spiritual education. That's where this can serve you well. Also, be very careful when it comes to stock market, gambling, trying to have those speculative gains. You're going to be very confused and very likely to make the wrong decision. When it comes to romance, you're going to feel lost. Lost and confused. Like, what the hell did I do? Why did I say that? Or you're going to think there's something wrong with them. That person you're trying to have romance with. Now, Neptune is also acting like it's conjunct Rahu. So Rahu is also a fog cloud. You're going to be doubly confused in the fourth house. That's right, it gets worse. Now there's double the confusion. And Rahu is in Satyabisha. Neptune's in Uttar Bhadrapada. And Satyabisha, because it's retrograde. It's acting like it's in both nakshatras. So Uttar Bhadrapada is tied to addictions. Satyabisha is tied to alcoholism. So if you have older children, or your mother could deal with addiction issues, particularly alcoholism. Especially for the mother, alcoholism. For children, it could just be addiction issues in general. Maybe they're addicted to video games even. And yes, that can be a thing. Speaking from personal experience. All right. Now, that's one thing that we see with this. Something just popped in my head, so I'm definitely going to say it. Fourth house is vehicles. Neptune is tied to oil and gas. And Rahu is in Satyabisha, so is Neptune. Satyabisha is tied to oil. It's dinosaurs. Dinosaurs became oil. So with this, I would say be very careful when it comes to like oil and gas with your car. Not saying there's going to be some kind of accident or something, but there may be something off with that. So get your car checked. I know you're going to be all confused tied to that fourth house. I'm trying to help you out with it though. But yeah, that's something in particular with your vehicle. There could be some issue with the oil or gas. Just popped in my head. Okay. Same thing with your house actually. When it comes to like the gas in the house. There could be something with that. Also, be very careful if you are buying a car, buying a home. You can be deceived during this time. Satyabisha is tied to deception as well. So you can be deceived when it comes to those things. You can buy a car that has a bunch of issues with it. Or a house. sign a lease for a place that is absolutely terrible. Also, Sagittarius is tied to stealing. And Uttar Bhadrapada, same thing. It's tied to crime. Now, Uttar Bhadrapada is also deeply, it's anything hidden. So it can either be hidden spiritual people or criminals. And Sagittarius can either be thieves or astrologers. So you can see that when it comes to the home, you can actually have people like that try to steal from your home. So be careful with that. I mean, this could be something, as annoying as having your packages stolen. Or this could be, something more significant. So just be aware. All right. Make sure your door is locked. Don't be too confused that you forget to do things like that. All right. Now, Neptune's going to aspect your 10th house. So that confusion is also going to apply to your career. And Ketu's already there. So you're headless when it comes to your career right now. You're having to rely on that intuition. Neptune's not going to help. Neptune's going to bring even more confusion. Unless you are somehow involved in a spiritual career with this, spiritual or occult, because Venus and Ketu are both spiritual planets and gifted in the occult. That's where it'll do good. If you're involved in that kind of career, great. But there's still going to be that confusion. Also, one thing I want to say in particular, before I forget, Neptune and Rahu in the 4th house in Sagittarius. Neptune can be very magical. It can bring magical events. So one thing I will say here, if your mother is dealing with some kind of health issue, Sagittarius is tied to health issues, there can be something magical that helps improve her health. There can be something like that that takes place. Now, it's not guaranteed. Neptune's a very mysterious planet. But there can be those magical events that take place. Especially, I guess you could say this is a remedy, especially near the ocean. Because Neptune is the ocean. Sagittarius is the ocean. So I would say in particular, if you wanted to go on a beach trip this summer with your mother, especially if there's like some kind of health issue she's dealing with, that could actually really improve her health. I don't know why I felt the need to mention that, but came up. Okay. That's what I have for you, though. Scorpio. Moving on to Sagittarius. All right, Sagittarius. So, Neptune is transiting your 4th house, retrograde, into the 3rd house. So, 4th house first. 4th house is your mother figures. It's home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's your comfort and your happiness. 3rd house. 3rd house is a lot. It's your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's marketing, sales. It's your skills. It's arts and sports. It's short distance travel, but it can even be foreign travel, because 12th from the 4th house, furthest place away from your homeland. It's 8th from the 8th. Higher form of psychological baggage. Transformation through self-effort is the 3rd house. And 3rd house is the house of effort. It's media, social media, the internet. So now Neptune is affecting both these houses. The first thing you're going to see, complete confusion. Neptune is going to have you feeling absolutely lost. Neptune's a fog cloud. Now you are in the fog. And brings that energy of Pisces. Pisces is where you feel lost. Pisces is 2 fish swimming in circles in the middle of the ocean, having no idea where the fuck they're going. They don't know. You don't know. So this is going to apply to the 4th and 3rd house. And 3rd house, it's going to be even worse, because Rahu is sitting there. Rahu is a fog cloud too. Right, there's a bunch of people yelling no outside. Okay. I'd say, especially when it comes to your communication, be careful. But let's continue. So, when it comes to matters of the fourth house, mother, home, land, real estate, vehicles, you are going to be completely lost in this. You've already been lost with this, but Neptune being retrograde, it's going to intensify that feeling of being lost. You're going to have trouble relating to your mother. Unless she is very spiritual, then that connection will be there. Otherwise, you're just going to feel lost. One thing I will mention, though I'm mentioning it for Scorpio, I feel like I need to do the same for you, is especially when it comes to vehicles and the home. There can be some issue with the gas or like oil because Neptune is tied to gas and oil. Saturn is tied to oil as well. So there can be some issue with the car or with the house when it comes to the gas or the oil. That's something you need to be careful of. Get checked, maybe. Also, be careful when it comes to buying a car, buying a home, or getting them repaired, because there's going to be that confusing element. You can be deceived when it comes to those things. Pay too much, that kind of thing. Sorry, funny I say that. I'm just looking at this. This is just for that particular day, but it's funny. Destiny points in Purva Bhadrapada. This is tied, actually, Uttar Bhadrapada too. So, both are tied to karma with carpenters. So, in particular, if you are having some issue with carpenters, those are the people in particular you could have some kind of issue with. Okay. Now, let's talk about this extreme confusion tied to the third house. It's going to be more severe here. So, when it comes to communication, you are going to feel lost, confused. You're going to have trouble saying the right thing. Absolutely. Like that's completely lost in oblivion when it comes to those things. Same thing when it comes to your younger siblings, cousins, neighbors. You are not going to be able to relate to them unless they're very spiritual and you're very spiritual, and especially astrology. Because Neptune and Rahu both are acting like they're in Satyabisha because of Neptune's degrees. Neptune's at 10 degrees, so it's going to act like it's in 10 degrees of Aquarius as well. So especially if you're communicating about astrology. One thing I will say when it comes to like spiritual and like astrology media, like you may be very interested in those kinds of things during this time, or communicating about those things, learning about those things. Be very careful about the travel plans you make during this time. There can be some issues that take place there. That's another thing that you can see here. Okay. Now, the other thing that I need to mention is Neptune's in Uttar Bhadrapada. This is tied to addictions. And Rahu is in Satyabisha. And Neptune's also acting like it's in Satyabisha, which is tied to alcoholism. So in particular, your mother and your younger siblings, your cousins, I guess even your neighbors, could deal with some addiction issues. Now, for your mother, it could be in general, but for the younger siblings, cousins, neighbors, alcoholism, especially. Like Rahu and Neptune are there. That is a combination for getting drunk and diving into that addiction. So just keep that in mind. They might need your help overcoming that. that stuff during this time. If they're open to it. Maybe they're not. Maybe they hate your guts. I have no idea. So that can be there. Also, be aware there can be some neighbors that you can't trust when it comes to like your home. Neptune's in Uttarabhadrapada, which is tied to like criminality. Very hidden people, either spiritual hidden people or criminals. And it's also in Satyabisha with Rahu in Satyabisha. There could be some kind of crime that takes place like in the neighborhood. I don't know, apparently I'm a watchdog for you now. Okay. But yeah, those kinds of things can take place. Now, let's talk about a really good thing with Neptune, though. Neptune is very magical. It's a magical planet. It can bring magical events. It's very mysterious. So when it comes to your home, vehicles, your comfort and happiness, or with your mother, or with your younger siblings, your cousins, the kind of travels that you go on, there can be something very magical that takes place. Or like there could be actually third house is skills. So Neptune being in the third house, there could be some kind of like magical skill that you acquire during this time. I don't know, it's popped into my head. Uh, huh. I don't know. If you acquire some kind of magical skill, let me know. Mages watching me, apparently. All right, I'm done with you, Sagittarius. Moving on to Capricorn. Uh, Before I do that, let's talk about the aspect of Neptune real quick. Neptune has a seventh aspect, like every other planet. It's going to be from that third house where it's retrograding into. So, this is going to be on the ninth house, where Ketu and Venus are sitting. Now, Venus is only going to be there for a little bit, but especially while Venus is there could be something like very spiritual or like tied to the occult that takes place with your father figures, with your mentors, teachers, even tied to religion. There could be something very deeply spiritual that takes place. Especially if you want to go on like a spiritual pilgrimage during this time. Like I said, be careful. There can be issues with travel, but there, yeah, there can be something very deep that you learn during this time. Now, I will say you are going to feel completely lost outside of that spiritual occult element when it comes to that ninth house. Ketu is headless, and Neptune is feeling lost. Neptune's going to bring that sense of confusion. So, especially when it comes to your father, you're not going to be able to relate to your father, to understand your father during this time. Which I know this is a lot of family members we're talking about. Your mother, your younger siblings, your father, but that's what Neptune does. And especially when it's affecting that axis of Rahu and Ketu, it intensifies that. Okay. All right. That's what I have for you, Sagittarius. Now we're moving on to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. So, Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, your third house. And it's retrograding into the second house. So, with this, first off, third house is your younger siblings, your cousins, your neighbors. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's marketing and sales. It's your skills. It's arts and sports. It's media, social media, the internet. Third house is short distance travel, but it can even be foreign travel because it's 12th from the 4th, furthest place from your homeland. It's also 8th from the 8th. Third house is self-effort. Well, now it's transformation through self-effort. the higher form of transformation. It's also your greatest psychological baggage. Now, we also need to talk about the second house. The second house is your family, your finances, your earnings, your savings, your bank account. It's what you value. It's your possessions. It's your speech. So, now let's talk about Neptune and what it's going to do here. So Neptune is going to bring confusion, first and foremost. You are going to feel lost. Neptune's a fog cloud. It brings that energy of Pisces, of feeling lost. And Pisces is a sign of two fish swimming around in circles in the middle of the ocean, not knowing where the hell they're going. So you're going to see that element's going to be there, of feeling lost. That's the main thing you're going to experience here. Not just in the third house, but especially in the second house. It's going to be conjunct Rahu. Rahu is a fog cloud too. Rahu confuses and deludes you. So now you're doubly confused. Smoke and mirrors abound in that second house in particular. Now, the other thing that we see, when it comes to your communication, you are going to say the wrong thing. You are going to be so confused about what to say, what to write, how to communicate. You are going to struggle in that regard. And especially with what you say, you're going to say the wrong thing. You need to be very careful with what you say during this time. It can get you in trouble. Because now Rahu's confusing you and Neptune's confusing you in that second house of speech. So you're better off writing than speaking during this time, or typing than speaking. But either way, you're going to be confused and you're going to say the wrong thing, type the wrong thing, write the wrong thing. Also, when it comes to your younger siblings and your family in general, there's going to be this sense of confusion and feeling lost when it comes to dealing with them. Unless they're very spiritual, then there will be some connection there. But otherwise, yes, there can be that feeling of being lost. For sure. Now, the other thing, though, is Neptune is in Uttarabhadrapada. And it's in Satyabisha because of its degrees. It's going to act like it's in both nakshatras with Rahu in Satyabisha. So when it comes to younger siblings, they can deal with addiction issues during this time. But also you can have family members that deal with alcoholism in particular. And another thing to note, second house is what you take in. So you could drink too much of it during this time. We see that too. But because it's in Satyabisha in general, you could eat or drink something that is bad for your health. Now, in most people's cases, that's likely to be alcohol. But I would just say in general, and you see I'm getting choked up as I'm saying this, there can be something that affects your health negatively. So be careful about what you eat or drink during this time, or even what medicine you take during this time. And no, I'm not a healthcare professional, as I'm legally required to say. But Ayurveda is a thing. Okay. That's another thing that we see here. Now, Neptune is also a very unusual, very magical planet. Very mysterious. It can bring magical events in your life. So when it comes to the third house, you can learn some kind of very unusual, even magical skill during this time. your art will have a very mystical quality to it during this time if you're an artist. Especially for that, this is very good. You can be very, like, if you're already an artist, this would take your art to like the next level during this time. And you'll have no idea how you were inspired to make that. And there can be something very magical that takes place, especially with the younger siblings, but with family in general during this time. Like something very positive that could take place. Now what that is, I don't know, you'd have to tell me. But that is that quality that Neptune brings. Like something you just can't explain. Now, something I need to warn you all about though is Neptune is in Uttarabhadrapada. This is tied to very hidden things, very hidden people. That can be spiritual or criminal people. And it's acting like it's in Satrabisha, which is tied to deception, theft, crime. Now, why do I mention this? First off, if you know you have younger siblings or family members that you can't trust, there could be some kind of crime, some kind of theft that they do when it comes to your money in particular. Because Neptune and Rahu are acting like they're in the second house of money. Also, be careful of the financial institutions that you use. They can deceive you, take advantage of you, steal from you even. So you need to be careful when it comes to that. Now, let's talk about the aspect of Neptune. Neptune has a seventh aspect, just like every planet. On to the eighth house. So, first off, if you thought it was bad dealing with your family, it's going to be just as bad dealing with your in-laws. Ketu is headless, and now Neptune's bringing that energy of the fog cloud with its aspects. So now you're headless and lost in a fog. You are lost during this transit. Now, one thing I will say, when it comes to dealing with spiritualists, and especially occultists, because Venus and Ketu are both very spiritual, but also very gifted in the occult. Venus is the only planet with the ability to bring the dead back to life. So with this, we see when it comes to dealing with spiritual and occult people, this can be very good. But anything else, you are going to feel lost, in oblivion, not able to understand them. Okay. That's what I have for you though, Capricorn. Moving on to Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. So for you, Neptune is retrograde in your second house, retrograding into the first house. So, second house is your family, your finances, your earnings, your savings, your bank account. It's your possessions. It's what you value. It's your speech. And first house is you, your physical health, your body, your overall path in life. So, let's start talking about Neptune now. Neptune is going to bring confusion, first and foremost. You are going to feel completely lost when it comes to where Neptune's affecting. And for you, it's affecting a lot. Because Neptune is that fog cloud. It brings the energy of Pisces. Pisces is two fish circling each other in the middle of the ocean. So you're going to feel lost. Where the hell do I go? And yet, not just the second house, but every area of life. Because Neptune is acting like it's conjunct this Rahu. In the first house of you and your overall life. Now, Neptune is sitting on your head with Rahu. Rahu's a fog cloud too. Rahu's smoke and mirrors, deception, delusion. So you are going to be incredibly confused during this retrograde. Not just tied to the second house and the first house, but all of your life. During this retrograde, you're going to feel lost in oblivion. That's the first thing you're going to notice. Hopefully you're not too in oblivion to be able to notice that. The other thing that we see, when it comes to your family, you're not going to be able to relate to your family. Unless they are deeply spiritual, then there will be some connection there. But otherwise, you're going to feel completely lost. When it comes to finances, you need to be very careful with this. You can make the wrong decisions here, for sure. That's something that you can see with this chart. And be careful of the financial institutions that you deal with. But one thing I will say, and this really affects other people that are dealing with some Aquarius people right now. If you know that there's an Aquarius person that you can't particularly trust, because Neptune is in Uttar Bhadrapada, this is a nakshatra that is tied to very hidden people, either very spiritual or very criminal. And Neptune's also acting like it's in Satabisha with that Rahu in Satabisha. It is acting like it's in both nakshatras. And Satabisha is tied to crime, theft, deception. If you know there's an Aquarius person you can't trust, especially a family member, they could actually actively try to steal from the family during this time. That is something that you can see here. Now, that's going to apply to people dealing with an Aquarius person rather than the Aquarius person themselves. Unless I'm talking to that particular kind of Aquarius person. The other thing that we see is for you yourself, if you're this Aquarius individual, there could be some significant health issue that you're dealing with where family has to help give you resources. Now, this is only like if you already know that you're dealing with that kind of thing. Now, the other thing that we see though, family members can deal with some kind of addiction issue during this time. Uttar Bhadrapada is tied to addiction issues in general. But then, that Satabisha is tied to alcoholism. So, family members can deal with addiction issues in general. But second house is what you take into your body, what you eat, what you drink. So, you could also take some kind of addictive substance during this time, especially alcohol. Because now Rahu and Neptune are acting like they're in that Satabisha, which is tied to alcoholism. So if you're not careful, you could develop alcoholism during this transit, during this retrograde of Rahu and Neptune. Especially for Aquarius people. This is the time you'd be most likely to develop alcoholism. And if you know that you are susceptible to that, take steps to prevent it. Because I see that can be a clear problem for Aquarius people during this time. Okay. Now, the other thing that we see is Neptune is a very magical planet. Very magical. Very mysterious. It can bring magical events. You can see there can be magical events tied to the family. Maybe family was completely struggling. And then something happens that you just can't explain. That completely turned everything around. Now, same thing can actually happen tied to your health. Because Neptune is acting like it's in the first house, especially in Satabisha, one thing I will say, and I forget what other sign I said this for, but Sagittarius is tied to the ocean, and it's tied to health issues. Neptune is very magical. With Neptune affecting the first house of your physical health in your body, especially if you are dealing with some kind of significant health issue, go to the ocean, especially now while it's summer. You can experience something miraculous tied to your health, something magical that improves your health. This is especially if you know you're dealing with some significant health issue. Call it a remedy if you want. But that 4th of July. Firework going off. There's your omen. Okay. All right, moving on. So, Neptune's also going to have a 7th aspect. That's going to fall onto the 7th house. So, Ketu is sitting there with Venus. Now, Venus isn't going to be there for long. But with this, Ketu's headless. Neptune is that fog cloud. You are going to feel confused when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage, business. You're going to feel completely confused, completely lost in that area of life. And Venus and Ketu are both very spiritual, very occult planets. Remember, Venus is the one planet with the power to raise the dead back to life. And Ketu is the planet of spirituality and the occult. So with this, if your partner is very spiritual, there can be a great connection there. Like when it comes to spirituality and especially like even astrology in particular, when it comes to the occult. More than anything else, astrology. Because Neptune is acting like it's in Sagittarius. Then you see, like especially while Venus is there, there can be that great connection. But like I said, if they aren't spiritual, then the feeling of being lost, headless in a fog cloud, in the middle of the ocean, trying to find your way to shore. Okay. All right, that's what I have for you, though, Aquarius. Moving on to Pisces. All right, Pisces. So, for you, Neptune is retrograde in your first house, in the sign of Pisces, retrograding into the 12th house. So, first house is you, your physical health, your body. It's your overall path in life. 12th house. 12th house is spirituality. It's bed pleasure, sex, and sleep. It's anywhere you feel isolated, jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. It's losses of all kinds, including financial. It's investing, because when you invest money, you're temporarily losing money. It's foreign people, foreign places, multinational companies. It's addictions, fantasy, outer space, and other worlds. So now let's talk about Neptune affecting both of these houses. Neptune is confusion. Neptune is that fog cloud. It brings the sign of Pisces wherever it transits. And yes, it's in Pisces right now. But it brings that energy of two fish circling each other in the ocean, lost at sea. So with it being in the first house, you're going to feel this with. Even while it's retrograde, because it's going to affect both houses. Both the first and the second house. Or first and 12th house. There we go. See, now I'm getting lost. All right. Now, one thing I will say with this is definitely there can be confusion tied to your health. Need to be careful there, especially because Neptune is in Uttar Bhadrapada. And Rahu's in Satyabisha. And Neptune is also in Satyabisha. Yes, Neptune is going to be in both signs, both houses, both nakshatras. Neptune in Uttar Bhadrapada. Uttar Bhadrapada is tied to addictions. And Satyabisha is tied to alcoholism. So in particular, you need to be very careful of developing some kind of addiction during this time, especially while it's retrograde. And especially alcoholism. Be very careful with that. Because Neptune and Rahu's a fog cloud too, and both of them are in the house of addictions. So you see, there can be that addiction that takes place, especially tied to those. The other thing I would say is this can actually be very good for spirituality. Neptune's a very spiritual planet, and Rahu shows your soul's desire is tied to the 12th house of spirituality during this time. So that can be very good. Delving into spirituality can be very good. Now, the other thing that we see, though, is Neptune and Rahu are both affecting the 12th house. You're going to see if you have any health issue during this time, you're going to have trouble like when you deal with medical professionals. Because not only are Neptune and Rahu affecting that 12th house of hospitals, Neptune's also aspecting the 6th house of healthcare. And you're going to be confused in that fog cloud when dealing with the people of the 6th house. Whether that be, your maternal aunts and uncles, your coworkers, healthcare professionals, your pets even, your enemies. You're going to feel lost. Now, outside of your enemies, maybe your enemies, I don't know. If they are tied to the spirituality or the occult, especially astrology, because Neptune and Rahu are in Satyabisha, that's where you will have a connection, especially while Venus and Ketu are there conjunct, because they are both planets of spirituality and the occult. Now, back to the 12th house real quick. So, another thing to see with this is when it comes to foreign travel, be very careful during this time. Neptune's in Uttar Bhadrapada, and Rahu's in Satyabisha, and so is Neptune. Both are tied to crime. Uttar Bhadrapada is very hidden people. That can be very spiritual or very criminal. And Satyabisha is tied to deception, theft, crime. So, be careful while you are traveling in a far-off place. There could be crime. People getting their passports stolen, that kind of thing. Also, when it comes to planning the trip, you are going to be completely confused when it comes to that. You're going to feel confused. You're going to feel lost. You're going to make bad decisions when it comes to planning a trip. So keep that in mind as well. I think I already mentioned the addiction issues. If I didn't, no, I did. I already mentioned that. Okay. Now, the other thing that we see is Neptune is very mysterious, very magical. It can actually bring magical events. And because Neptune and Rahu are in Satyabisha, Satyabisha is tied to aliens. And yes, I've seen evidence of this. It is tied to aliens. So with Neptune retrograde into the 12th house with Rahu, you can actually have an alien encounter during this time if you are a Pisces person. Now, it could be very magical. I don't know if you'd consider that magical. But, yeah, you could actually have an alien encounter during this time. The other thing that we see, and what I want to end off on for you, is, like I said, you're going to be very confused when it comes to your health. And Rahu and Neptune, confusion when it comes to health issues that you could be dealing with. But Neptune is a very mysterious, very magical planet. And if you are dealing with health issues, I gave this remedy to a few other signs. Satyabisha and Uttarabhadrapada, actually, both are tied to the ocean. And Satyabisha is tied to health issues. So if you are dealing with some kind of health issue during this time, especially while it's summer, but anytime during this retrograde, go to the ocean. Go to the ocean, and there could be something magical that takes place that improves your health. Also, there can be some very magical spiritual event that takes place as well. In particular at the ocean, but that's more so in general. Okay. All right. That's what I have for you, Pisces. Okay. But yeah, I really felt the need to talk about Neptune. It's funny. Here in Seattle, I actually live kind of close to this Neptune Theater. It's actually called Neptune. So for some reason, Neptune felt like the right outer planet to talk about. And it turns out it was retrograding here soon, so I decided to talk about Neptune. And it's weird. As soon as I started this video, I started getting all these intuitive hits. Like I said, Neptune's a very mysterious, magical planet. I had a lot of intuitive hits while I was filming this. And yeah, definitely don't ignore Neptune, even if you're a Vedic Sidereal Astrologer. The outer planets exist, they have an effect. They are in our solar system. They are going to affect us. They orbit around the sun just like we do. So you will feel their effect in your life. Don't ignore them. Okay. But that's what I have for all of you. If you like this video and you want to see more great content like it, be sure to like, hype, and subscribe. It really helps out me in the channel. To be notified whenever I release a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box in the comments below. And if you'd like to donate to help support the channel, links to those will be in the description box as well. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.